From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Goodbye, invasive trees. Hello, wildlife.
And that tree's going to be drinking over 35 gallons of water a day. It doesn't take long to figure out why our creeks are going dry, why our ponds are going dry.
This landowner shares what they're doing to help restore the great outdoors on the farm. A new milestone in the battle against ASF. Plus, glyphosate prices are falling.
That's the main catalyst of it, is just the cost curve, a shift down Chinese production.
And the legal battle over WOTUS isn't over.
Well, now we understand that they are not repealing it. They're intending to tweak.
What's next? Today on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when experience meets expertise. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Farm groups thought they got a victory on the waters of the U.S. rule in a recent Supreme Court ruling. However, it looks like they are headed back to court. Michelle Rook joins us with an update. Michelle, it seems like agriculture has been fighting this fight a very long time.
Clinton, this battle has been going on for years, and so when the High Court recently ruled against EPA in the Sackett case, farm groups thought that the agency would have no choice but to repeal the rule. Ag leaders tell me, though, unfortunately, that's not the case.
The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that the agency had overstepped their authority in defining what waters would be regulated under the Clean Water Act. Yet EPA is choosing to disregard the WOTUS ruling.
Well, now we understand that they are not repealing it. They're intending to tweak. So we've already filed suit in Texas and North Dakota trying to get a stay on the rule. So we're going to have to go in and spend hard-earned dollars for producers to fight this out in court when we have a 9-0 Supreme Court decision, and yet EPA will not back off.
According to farm groups, EPA's proposed tweaks aren't suitable. On July 24th, the Waters Advocacy Coalition petitioned the Biden administration asking they not merely strike this significant nexus language or the definition of adjacent waters because they aren't legally defendable.
They are in the process of, as we understand it, removing the term significant nexus from the current rule and just want to repropose it. We still think that's going to be a concern.
Kiefer says Farm Bureau is providing input to EPA on the rewrite of the rule.
We want to make sure that what EPA and the Army Corps put out is, first and foremost legal, but secondly, meets the intent of Congress and is not a burden to farmers and ranchers. And the notion that if federal law does not apply, that there is no governing law over water is a fallacy because state and local laws still apply.
The broader coalition also wants EPA to exclude ditches from the definition of federal waters, include wetlands only when they can't be distinguished from navigable waters, and erase the wetlands category. So the fight continues. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. High heat and moisture concerns continue to plague the growing season. The latest crop progress report shows 68% of the corn crop is now silking. That's 3 points ahead of the 5-year average. Only 16% has moved to dough stage. Conditions remain unchanged from last week at 57% good to excellent. 70% of soybeans are blooming, also ahead of the 5-year average. Meanwhile, soybean conditions, they pulled back a point to 54% good to excellent. Winter wheat harvest, it remains behind schedule as well. 68% now cut, with Colorado way behind at just 48% harvested. Usually, it's more than 80% complete. And high heat has everyone watching crop conditions this week. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us with our first look at weather. Matt.
Yeah, that heat certainly imposing its will on not only crops but also the United States. It's not just one location that's seeing the extreme heat, rather it's extending across the United States. Now this is coming up for this afternoon. You got the triple-digit heat once again through Dallas up into Oklahoma, but also extending to the east as well. Now right between the triple-digit heat as well as these 80s, that is where we're going to see the potential for a few strong, possibly severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon. That includes the parts of Indiana, Ohio, and back off here towards the east. 101 though in Georgia, specifically Atlanta, and then the 90s even into Wilmington. That's to go along with some humidity as well. That is only going to continue to get hotter across the United States as we go into the future. Go ahead and take a look at your screen here. Lindsay sending this one in. I know that name, Lindsay Mound, sending a nice shot here. She lives in Missouri. She says the corn crop started as one of their best ever. Heat and dry weather have eaten away at its full potential, as you can see. In some cases, pollination is really bad. We'll talk more about that forecast in just a bit.
U.S. wheat futures failed to follow through on higher trade Tuesday after climbing the daily maximum on Monday. This as Russia continues to expand its bombardment of Ukrainian ports and grain infrastructure. Reuters reporting nearly 30 ships have dropped anchor near Ukraine's Izmail port after grain warehouses were destroyed on the Danube River. The damage is likely to force more exports over land, which is slower and more expensive. Now, analysts say escalation is likely, and the bigger threat for increasing global hunger is losing exports from Russia.
In my mind, it's more about Russia, and they supposedly have a big crop. You know, that Black Sea, grain corridor probably benefited Russia as much as it did Ukraine. And now, if that's going to really slow, and there's been talk that Russia is going to keep some of that wheat off the market for an internal supply reserve, so to speak, that really is maybe the biggest picture: is will Russia continue to supply the world now that Black Sea is closed? Certainly India and China have been big recipients and big benefactors of that. And so that really is the big question here.
Adding to the uncertainty, the EU also revising its crop yields lower due to adverse weather conditions. A new contract may help keep delivery services running in parts of rural America. UPS and the Teamsters Union agreeing to a tentative 5-year contract on Tuesday. The bargaining agreement covers some 330,000 delivery and warehouse workers. If finalized, it would avert what would have been the single largest strike against a U.S. company in U.S. history, estimated to cost the economy about $7 billion. Now, that deal includes wage increases for both full-time and part-time workers. It still needs to be ratified to be official. A decline in glyphosate demand prompted Bayer to make another cut to its expected earnings. But one analyst thinks the issue may actually be supply, not demand. This week, Bayer announcing cuts to its projected 2023 earnings, calling for $14.9 billion. That's below what the company reported back in 2022. Now, in May, Bayer warned inflation and falling prices of glyphosate-based herbicides could cause it to miss its earnings forecast. Bayer's then CEO told investors the company needed lower expectations of what it could charge for glyphosate products. BASF also cutting its earnings forecast earlier this month. Now, Sam Taylor of Rabobank telling AgDay that China's manufacturing of active ingredients is back online, and it accounts for 60 to 70% of global production.
I think that the global pricing at the moment is sub $4 a gallon in China. So you've had that drop from about $16, $17 a gallon in 2022. So it's now like 25% of what it was. And the North American market, while it's got its own production platform, is ostensibly priced off the global supply. So that's the main catalyst of it, is just the kind of the cost curve has shift down, Chinese production back online, and they account for about 2/3 of global production.
Taylor says ag retailers and suppliers continue to cut the price of glyphosate to help offload expensive inventory in preparation for the fall. Grain markets turn around on Tuesday after a big surge to start the week. We'll take a look at what traders are watching next. And later, clearing the prairie of invasive cedars is proving to have good benefits for this Kansas ranch land. We'll go outdoors on the farm today in the country.
Ag Day is brought to you by Farm Shop MFG. Did you know that 20% of stored corn is often overventilated by 3 points of moisture? On 100,000 bushels, that's a whole semi-load. Stop this problem for less with the End Zone for Corn by Farm Shop MFG. Specially priced at $2,100 per unit while supplies last.
Tuesday's market closes lower in row crops mixed in the week. Garrett Toy, Ag Trader Talk, joining us with analysis. And corn and soybeans kind of setting back here, maybe just a little profit taking there on Tuesday, Garrett?
Yeah, I hate to use the old proverb of the turnaround Tuesday, but essentially what it felt like is that corn was down 2 to 3 cents, beans are down 2 to 7 cents. Markets are a lot weaker overnight, but we saw buying and kind of bounced off of some old technical resistance, now support after yesterday's breakout in corn. To me, it's maybe I'm reading too much into it, considering the heat wave that we're going through right now, the fact that row crops really didn't react like that well to that, and that corn kind of relied on wheat. Seems to tell me that we're putting a lot more weight into that Ukraine Russia situation more than U.S. weather at this point, which perhaps surprises me a little bit. But that's the way it is. I mean, the wheat market has a bigger short in it. The commitment of traders on Friday, even though most believe that the short is much smaller than Friday's print, still showed the market carrying a big short, and that's going to be the fun driver here right now.
So how concerned do you think this market is about the global tight situation and, going forward here? Is it going to translate into any business for the United States?
It should eventually. You look at the corn curve. I still think it's dictated by Brazil exports. Sep East corn spread, the East March corn spread still kind of underperforming is lack of export business for Sep East and harvest time spread for East March. But March, May starting to show some interesting things here. Perhaps that's a function of Brazil corn exports slowing. But at some point, if Ukraine is going to be out of the market, there's going to have to be some recourse here as far as whether it translates to new business from either Brazil or the U.S.
Do we get any wheat business either?
That's still a long ways off. I think Russia is obviously trying to push Ukraine out. They're going to pick up the lion's share there. It's possible but I feel that Australia still has wheat to sell. It's going to be a tougher road for wheat to get more export business.
All right. Thanks for joining us. That's Garrett Toy Ag Trader Talk. That is Markets Now, and we'll have more Ag Day coming up.
To contact Garrett, call him at 888-745-2020 or find him at agtradertalk.com.
Registration is open for the 2023 Pro Farmer Crop Tour, August 21st through the 24th. Attend one of our nightly meetings or join online as we gain insight on the 2023 growing season. Visit profarmercroptour.com/register to select the stop nearest you.
I want to start off looking at that flooding potential as we go through the next couple of days, specifically into Friday, as we start to kind of change this system out. It won't be a complete break from the heat, but we're starting to see a little bit more influence in the jet stream for the Midwest and up into the Northeast as we get to about a 5 to 15% chance of some flooding and a potential in those locations. Otherwise, we stay hot, we stay dry into Texas and also the southern part of the Mississippi River and down to the south and east. And notice the flooding potential on Saturday moves back down here to the south. And we're going to get that kind of the budding energy from the jet stream with a trough trying to dig from the north and all the heat and the humidity down here to the south. So right along that boundary is where we could see some of those stronger, if not heavier, downpours in and across portions of the United States. And here's how it matches up. Looking at that jet stream, again, hot and dry underneath this ridge with more of a zonal flow from the west to the east. As you go into your Wednesday and Thursday, we'll start to shift some weak energy back in here from the north. But it's going to be really tough to make any kind of push or impression on some of the heat that is back down here to the south. So as we looked at earlier this afternoon, you have the triple digits where it's been, but also extending where it hasn't been, which is off here to the east into Georgia, as well as into parts of South Carolina. Could get up to about 100 degrees as well with those temperatures. Tomorrow morning, we start to see that heat and that humidity develop back up here to the north. So overnight lows, your morning temperatures only falling to the upper 60s and the lower 70s back up here towards the north. Pocket of some cooler air, but also where we're going to see some of that energy come through tomorrow afternoon and start to get back into the triple digit heat, pushing more to the north. Combine that with the humidity, and that heat index is going to be pretty impressive. Take a look at your screen here. Got partly cloudy skies, highs around 93 degrees, low of 61. Brookneal, Virginia, sunny, high of 93, low of 71. Roswell, New Mexico, partly cloudy, chance of an alien.
Vietnam taking a big step in the battle against African swine fever. The country officially approving the domestic commercial use of 2 vaccines. That decision makes them the world's first to be commercially available. African swine fever has disrupted the global pork market for years. Back in 2018 and 19, about half of the domestic pig population in China died, causing losses estimated at over $100 billion. Now, it's the world's biggest producer. These vaccines stand as a significant breakthrough in battling the deadly disease. Officials say more than 650,000 doses have been tested on hog herds in 40 provinces with an efficacy rate of 95%. Lean hog futures worked higher on Tuesday with the August contract topping $100 per hundred. According to the Sterling Profit Tracker, farrow to finish hog producers, they saw profits of about $36 per head last week. That's up about $5 over the previous week. Now, a year ago, profits were $82 per head. Meanwhile, pork packers closed the week with $9 per head profits, up $4. Last year, they were losing about $24 per head. Now, that's helped to increase packer capacity utilization. It stands at nearly 86%. Up next, a look at how landowners are working hand in hand with nature. It's an ongoing restoration project that's only adding value and beauty to this Kansas prairie. Outdoors on the Farm is next.
Outdoors on the Farm is brought to you by Land Trust. Join our community of thousands of outdoor enthusiasts. Find properties, connect with landowners, and book an experience today. Learn more at landtrust.com.
Sometimes managing an invasive species like eastern red cedar can allow nature to recover and reclaim its former glory. As Chip Flory shows us in part 2 of our series, Outdoors on the Farm.
Welcome back to Outdoors on the Farm. I'm your host, Chip Flory. We are just west of the Medicine River in south central Kansas with Brian Alexander from Alexander Ranch. Brian, thank you so much for having us out here.
It's awesome to have you guys out here, Chip.
All right. We've heard some about the history about the ranch. What I want you to do is tell me about a cedar tree.
Well, what do you want to know?
I want to know everything that you know about them.
Well, the short end of the cedar tree discussion is a lot of people like them. They think they're pretty because it makes it look like Colorado. If you want it to look like Colorado, go to Colorado. By the time one is about 10 foot tall, it's going to be about 8 inches around at 4 foot off the ground, right?
Yep.
And that tree's going to be drinking over 35 gallons of water a day. It doesn't take long to figure out why our creeks are going dry, why our ponds are going dry. So in 2016, we had a wildfire come through this ranch and it burned probably 90 to 95% of the wood. Reducing their demand on the water table has allowed us to have a lot more water in the springs and creeks like this beaver pond you see behind us here. Having little beaver ponds like this, like, you cannot buy this habitat.
No.
You can only create an environment that allows the animals that create this environment to succeed.
Right.
The first thing it speaks to would be the water. You know, if you don't have a running water source, you're obviously not going to have any beaver. And what they do is they come in, they build these, they build all their dams and they raise the water table up. They raise the water table in the soil. Some of these taller grasses around here are kind of new.
Yep.
And I think it's because in the last year, the beavers have brought this level up 6 to 8 inches.
This is kind of unique. It's not just a big dome, it's built into the side, into that bank over there, right?
Never really seen them on this ranch build a dome style lodge in the middle of the pond. And the beaver we have right here, it doesn't seem like they know how to use trees. And their dam is mud and cattails.
Yeah. It is holding back water.
Oh yeah, it's probably at least 4 to 5 feet deep there in the middle. From the top of the dam to the bottom of the main channel is, I would probably say it's close to 6 feet.
That is fantastic. And you know the other thing that this location has in common to, well, everywhere we've been on the ranch so far?
Birds.
The birds. You can hear the quail. The birds on this property, the variety blows me away, Brian.
Birds have a very sensitive biology to changes in the ecological system. So they're going to be our first indicator that something's going wrong. And in fact, we're standing here, mid-morning, late morning, hearing all these birds. I think it's pretty neat.
Brian, it has been great learning about what you are learning from the land, from the water, from the animals that are out here on your ranch and what your goals are for it. I think it's fantastic. Now, we're going to be back tomorrow morning with more Outdoors on the Farm. But now it's going to be time to do what? Head over to the West Farm and?
Yeah, we're going to go over to the West Pond and we're going to rip some lips.
Outstanding. We'll see you tomorrow, Outdoors on the Farm.
And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clint Griffiths. Have a great day out on the farm.